Hello, my name is Nigel Griffiths. I work in the Advanced Technology Centre in the UK, part of IBM Europe. In this movie we're going to look at workload partitions and the new faster mobility. We also call this relocate when we actually press the button. In around November 2008 we had a new version of workload partitions delivered. It's commonly called 1.2. Now, to get access to this you need to be running AIX 6.1 Technology Level 2 and Service Pack 3 or higher. I mentioned Service Pack 3 because I noticed that there were some improvements with workload partitions at that particular release. When you watch this movie, of course, there may be later service packs and they're worth having too. The Workload Partitions Manager has this new version of 1.2, so you need to upgrade your Workload Partitions Manager and then go and update the agents running on each of your global copies of AIX. Now, this is the old diagram of how we did application mobility with, well, for the want of a better name, version 1.1. I don't think we had a version number as it was the only one up until now. In that case we had a running workload partition that was active, and the way we could move that to a new machine was that first of all it had to have NFS mounted, the /var/home and /temp directories on an NFS server external to the machine, and that would equally have to be available on the target. Then when we actually did the checkpoint and restart, the WPAR was frozen. We then pushed all the state information about that WPAR and the contents of all the processes to the checkpoint directory that was mounted on NFS. When that was finished, that was read back into the target machine, rebuilt inside the global copy of AIX, and then the workload partition was resumed on the target machine. Now, of course, writing to NFS and then reading it back out does take some time. So with version 1.2, we're now doing a memory-to-memory copy between the two machines. This saves quite a bit of time and reduces the outage between the freeze and the resume on the target. Now, the memory-to-memory copy, if you've been paying attention and you've looked at partition mobility, that's what they do there. So we were using the similar technology here to support our workload partitions. Now let's actually have a look at how this actually operates in practice. Okay, so here's our login screen. We'll quickly log in. We'll see this has changed a little bit since the previous version. We now have a bit more of a welcome console, a little bit like Director 6. We can see that I have 8 machines online, and I have 13 active workload partitions and 19 defined. We also find, if we look at versions here, we see here we are at the version 1.2 of the Workload Partitions Manager. I think this means it was actually built in October 2008. Don't know what the build level means. But everything works as before. A few little improvements over here, but let's look at our managed systems. Here they all are online. I've got workload partitions on the majority of these machines. And if we look at the actual partitions themselves, here they are. Let's move this over a little bit so we can see a few more. And we now want to actually do a relocation, so we can do that. As before, there's a couple of extra things on here like backup and synchronize and things and restore, but we want to do a relocate. Now this panel's changed quite a lot. We now have live and static. In another movie we'll look at static relocations. Here it's suggesting that this my WP6, just the name of my workload partition, not very imaginative, and it's recommending that a good target for that is gold 2, and I'm on red 8. Well, I want to go to a slightly different machine. Let's select gold 4 and we'll say OK. So here we've gone transitional, it's on the move. We used to have to go to task activity, but we can actually just ask task details directly here. And we can see we're already on the way. As before, it checks the details of the partition, locks it so we don't try and do something else while it's on the move. And now it's packaging up the information. This send is in progress. We'll wait a minute now, and it should do the receive at the other end. Okay, now it's doing the receive of the details at the far end. This is getting ready for the memory move. Now it's doing the transmission of the memory. Now this is a small one. We went from 60 to 100 very quickly. That all looks okay. It's checking that it worked okay. And if I scroll down the bottom again, it's unlocked everything, so we're running on the other machine. The whole thing took from 39.5 to 40.12. But of course we only locked the logical partition as we went from about here to here. So we didn't lock the partition for more than about a minute. As usual, the place to go for more information is the Red Books, but do note that the Workload Partition Management Red Book has actually changed its name and the number, so make sure you get the up-to-date version. If you look carefully at the front cover, it says that it includes the information for AIX 6.1 TL2, so this is the 1.2 version.